Super disappointing. The work fairies did not come and finish this job while we were gone. Oh well, looks like we will need to resume work in the morning. Hey YouTubers, welcome back to Desert Have a Garden. We are up at the High Desert Homestead, and this video will be an extension of the previous one. So we had started working on the cabin foundation footers on our last video, and we will continue working on that. So in here you see a tool, the tamper, which is basically just like a heavy metal piece on a pole, and you use it to tamp down the dirt inside to make it really compact and compressed in there. So we'll be using that in the footers that we already completed, which was 5, except that at the very end we had to remove this big rock from this one with the backhoe, and the backhoe, because it's not a precision worker and that rock was substantial, it actually ended up pulling this form up so it is no longer level. We'll have to get the transit out in order to set that back in the correct spot, but we need the transit anyway because, as you see, there is a third in this row footer that has to be placed here. And you may recall that this soil over here is the original soil that was never disturbed by the backhoe when we were building the basement. So it's really full of rocks and super hard to dig. So we're going to potentially use the backhoe to dig it before we even set the footers. And over here, these ones may or may not be the same thing. Sometimes if we pour some water on the soil, which is mostly clay, it'll kind of loosen up if the rocks have already been broken up. We have 3 that need to be placed over here. The 2 end caps for a total of 5 are done. The one that goes right here is close to our septic line, and down in this hole we have to dig it back out. It's lightly covered the other end of this septic line, and so we'll be putting the pipe on that so that we can backfill this area and get that ready for a footer. We had this corner installed because it was low, the dirt level was low, so we were able to put them up high without having to dig. And then we still have 3 more footers to place over on this side, again with the hard dirt to dig in. So we have our work cut out for us, and we will see what we're able to accomplish. The water helps soften up the dirt so that we're able to dig in it a little bit better. We need to reset the height on the transit since it has been moved. And there it is. For people who aren't familiar with using a transit, it's a tool for demonstrating a level on an object away from other objects. And so when it's down here, it shows that it's low, and when the light's flashing above, it is showing that it is high, and in the middle is dead level. And so it can be really hard to get it exact, but when it's bouncing from the top and bottom, you know that you're right there, pretty close. And right there is dead level.
There you go. Good job.
Where do you go, you little green grasshopper? Tell me if you find a green grasshopper, Mom.
Okay. Upon close measurement, we found that this vertical pipe for the septic system is exactly where it is supposed to be for coming out of the cabin. And we thought this was a clean out and we needed to come off of this little stubby guy down here. But the fortunate thing is the contractor who put in the septic for us is a good friend of ours. And so we sent him a picture and gave him a call and asked him, and he said, we don't have to do anything with this. Leave that capped down there, and we can just put this right into our plumbing. So all we have to do really is backfill this hole so we can work on the footer. And that's awesome news. And he said we don't have to put a clean out here, but we probably will because the next clean out is about 30 feet down the line, and we want to make sure that we don't have any future problems with the septic. Whew. 1 down, 6 more to go. This is hard work. Have I ever told you guys that we live at 500 feet elevation? And this is 5,500 feet? I can tell you this girl is feeling it. Okay, 2 down. I'm going to take a break and make these kids some lunch. They're all chomping at the bit over there, and just wanted to show you something. In my eagerness to get this project started, I didn't start with any gloves, and you may see a popped blister right there. One getting ready to pop here. These tender paws definitely aren't used to manual labor, so gonna toughen them up a little bit today. One of the guys from the POA Association road crew came over because he saw we were here, and we had heard the tractor working out here on our little frontage road that goes directly to our property, and I guess someone who owns the spot next to us, just beyond us, is bringing up a double wide, and so they need our road to be a little bit wider in order to fit it up here. So they're doing a lot of dirt work, getting this all widened up, which we kind of have mixed feelings about. We liked that it was so difficult to get up here, partially because it keeps people wandering from coming up here. And you can see they've made this like practically a highway. You probably can't see how much of a grade change there is here. It's pretty steep, but this was real bouncy and rocky and quite narrow.
See that big
And
bump?
yeah, I see the bump right there. They've widened it both ways,
See how much cleature there is?
and it looks like they are not done just yet. So I don't know how wide they need to get it in order to make it able to fit a double wide up here, but they have to be able to get it around this turn and up the hill. So this is interesting. More road work being done. Number 3 is dug out, and at the same time Rick was working on placing the form for this one that's over here by the septic tube, and he's got that one all set and dug out. So on to 2 more on this side. And then 2 more on that side. We're getting there. These 2 holes were much easier digging. So while I was digging those 2, and Rick set that one, so we're up to 6, the boys set the frames on all of these. So we're getting really close. I think I only have 1 more to completely dig. This one here has to be dug out a little bit. You can see it's the one that's hovering above the ground. And then way over here, the one on the end, I can't get it straight. There we go. The one on the end also needs to be dug out a little bit. It just sat like right on top of the soil. So it needs to be dug out about, I don't know, 6 inches or so. But that one there is the last one that I have to dig completely. So we'll say 1 and 2 halves. So it's like digging out 2 more. Hopefully this one, the soil's softer there too. And then we're getting close to having all these foundation footers set. Because I went a little overboard digging these 3 footers a little too deep, the kids are helping fill them back in just a little bit so that they'll be at the right level when they're all tamped down. Good job, Louie. It's like right there. Well, look at this. Not just 1, but 2 and a tiny little 3rd tomato. It may be a bounty yet in this high desert garden. I better break out my pressure canner and get ready to process all of this tomatoes here. Well, one thing's for certain. We're working at a much faster pace this weekend. After last weekend, we had some challenges with the measurements, and we had a very nice reprieve last weekend because some friends came out for a visit. They're people that we actually met online like several years ago, and we've never met them in person, but recently they retired in California and they moved out and bought their own ranch that's only like 7 miles down the interstate from us, so it's really close. And they came out and we met them in person, and that was really exciting. They gave us a couple of koozies, which are always much needed. And now that we're so close, geographically, we should be seeing a lot more of each other. But I'm going to call this footer success. So we got all of the cabin footers completely dug, placed, and they are wetted and tamped down, and so they are ready for concrete at this time. The thing is, though, we do need to call for an inspection, so we'll be calling in an inspection from our county in order to come look at these before we can pour any concrete. And we also need to order our lumber package for the trusses and things like that to get those started being built, because those had to be engineered trusses. But overall, this was a weekend that was about manual labor. It wasn't so much about calculations and smart thinking, but the kids did build a nice little shelf unit for our storage container, and that enabled Rick to organize a whole lot of tools and equipment so we can begin preparing for the upcoming cabin build, and we will be able to find things and organize them very nicely. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're happy with the progress, so give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more updates in the future.